गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Oh, may the Divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Oh, peace, peace, peace.
This devotional song is about Advent of Sri Ramakrishna. Poet says, I haven't seen such divine play ever before. Sri Krishna Kanhai is playing on the lap of Mother Chandramani. The village of Kamapukur is sanctified by the advent of Gadadhar. Many sinners were liberated seeing this divine incarnation. Devi Sharada also came with him in form of divine Lakshmi. No one knows the play of Narayan. He hid his divine looks, but no matter what, all his divinity was revealed. No one has seen such divine play ever before. देखी नहीं ऐसी लीला नाही, देखी रे भाई, देखी नहीं ऐसी लीला नाही, देखी रे भाई, देखी नहीं ऐसी लीला नाही, देखी रे भाई। चंद्रमणि मैया जी की गोद में खेले कान्हाई, चंद्रमणि मैया जी की गोद में खेले कान्हाई, देखी नहीं ऐसी लीला नाही, देखी रे भाई, देखी नहीं ऐसी लीला नाही, देखी रे भाई। कमर पुकुर धन्य हुआ रे गदाधर के आगमन से, कमर पुकुर धन्य हुआ रे गदाधर के आगमन से। पार हुए पापी तापी मानव रूपी हरि दर्शन से, पार हुए पापी तापी मानव रूपी हरि दर्शन से। शारदा का रूप लेके लक्ष्मी जी भी साथ आई, शारदा का रूप लेके लक्ष्मी जी भी साथ आई, देखी नहीं ऐसी लीला नाही, देखी रे भाई, देखी नहीं ऐसी लीला नाही, देखी रे भाई। गोलकपति नारायण की कैसी लीला वो ही जाने, गोलकपति नारायण की कैसी लीला वो ही जाने। धारण किया रूप ऐसा कोई न उनको पहचाने, धारण किया रूप ऐसा कोई न उनको पहचाने। लाख वो छुपाए फिर भी बतियाँ छुप ना पाए, लाख वो छुपाए फिर भी बतियाँ छुप ना पाए, देखी नहीं ऐसी लीला नाही, देखी रे भाई, देखी नहीं ऐसी लीला नाही, देखी रे भाई। चंद्रमणि मैया जी की गोद में खेले कान्हाई, चंद्रमणि मैया जी की गोद में खेले
I'm reading from the book You Will Be a Paramhamsa by Swami Sarvagatananda. He writes, one more incident comes to my mind. A man used to visit Kalyan Maharaj, that is Swami Kalyananandaji from Kankhal Ashram, now and then and ask him for money. Having got some from Maharaj, he would just walk away. This happened a number of times. One day I asked, who is he? He just comes to take money from you and walks away? He doesn't do anything? How is it? Maharaj never answered my question. Sometime after Kalyan Maharaj passed away, this man came to the Shivashram and asked to see him. How much money do you want? I asked him. He said, I don't want money. I want to know where Maharaj is. Then I told him that Maharaj had passed away. The man collapsed there itself and cried like a baby. Then he said, you don't know what he did for me. What did he do? I asked. Well, it's a very big story. One day, I was at the marketplace. I had no money and I stole something from a shop. They caught me and the police were giving me a good thrashing. Maharaj was passing by in a horse carriage. He stopped the carriage and asked the police to stop beating me. What is the matter? He wanted to know. This man stole these things, they said. How much do they cost? Asked Maharaj. He paid the money and told me, in future, if you want money, come to me. Don't steal. You look like a decent man. Why do you steal? I used to work hard, but whenever I couldn't earn enough money, I would come to Maharaj and he would give me some money. I stopped stealing afterwards. He was so nice to me. He never asked me a question. He simply gave. Just imagine, by giving a few rupees, Kalyan Maharaj had straightened that man. He had changed his entire mind, his whole pattern of behavior. It impressed me very much. I told the man that I would like to give him some money, but he said no. He never accepted my offer. Once Kalyan Maharaj told us, if you don't love the patients, don't go to the hospital. If you don't love that work, don't go there. After this, two of the brahmacharis didn't attend to their work in the hospital for some time. I asked them, what was the matter? We don't love the work. Is that how you understood Maharaj? Yes, we think that is what he meant. I told them, suppose you came there as a patient. What would you expect of us and what would you get from us? That we don't love you and we don't like this work. Then what would be your fate? We have to love the work because if you came here as a patient, that is what you would expect. We all have to be patient, persevering. We have to love the patients. Why do they come here instead of going to the municipal hospital? We monks serve them, love them, and care for them. And this Kalyan Maharaj has been doing all these 37 years. Just see, it's a good occasion for us while such people are still alive. We can learn from them. Then they understood. They felt it, the need for loving patients. Someday in 1935, some of our brothers were chatting in the library. Someone remarked, we have renounced everything and are very happy under the loving guidance of Kalyan Maharaj. Kalyan Maharaj was passing that way. He entered the library and occupied a chair. We all stood up. Then he said, who says you have renounced everything? What have you renounced? Your father, mother, brothers, sisters, your home? Did you own them in the first place? Renounce something that you own. What is that which you own? Your ego and selfishness. Renounce them. Swami Vivekananda said, renunciation and service. renounce your ego and selfishness, and serve with love. That is true renunciation. Then Maharaj looked at me and said, Narayan, write this down. Unselfish, loving service is the motto of our order. He then left the room. We were all silent for some time. Yes.
Now a short period of meditation. Brahman inside and outside. So, the story we'll just hear it from Swami Sarvagatanandaji and Kalyan Maharaj is all about when one becomes close to Brahman, then only one can love. The story itself says when he saw that person who was stealing, just his sight was the blessing that transformed that person. And because of his love and feeling of oneness, he could make him free from the police, and his forgiveness and love transformed his heart. That is the power of love which comes from the realization of oneness, which is the reality of Brahman. Now this Brahman is the reality, ultimate reality according to Vedanta. In the scriptures, it is said, defined, in the Taittiriya Upanishad it is defined as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. What is Brahman? Brahman is infinity. The very word Brahman means it is huge, vast, infinite. It has no limit, unlimited. That is the meaning. And only unlimited in space doesn't make the Brahman. Brahman makes Satyam. It is truth. What is truth? That which does not change is truth, which does not alter. It's always same. There is no change in it in any way. That becomes Satya. Everything we see in the world is changing, in a flux, in a modification. But Satya, the Brahman, doesn't change at all. And then it is inert thing, it doesn't change, but is it inert? No, it is jnanam. It is of the nature of knowledge. It is of consciousness. So it is awareness. It is not inert something. It is awareness and always remaining same, and it is infinite. That is how the Brahman is described, the ultimate reality is described. Now that we know about the ultimate reality of what it is. Now, what of that knowing to mean? We want to know who we are. What is our relation with that ultimate reality? That is the question that comes. In another place, in the Taittiriya Upanishad itself described, a student went to the teacher and said, please teach me about the Brahman. And the teacher said, Eto va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayantya visham vishanti tad vijigyasasva tad brahmeti. You want to know Brahman? Brahman is something from where all this what you see, the beings have come. From that is the source of all this universe. That is Brahman. And being born of that reality, that Brahman, it exists in Brahman. And after this form, variety gone, it merges in Brahman. No try to seek that from which this universe, this all forms, this everything has come, sprung up, in which it stayed and in which it merges. Try to know that is Brahman. That is the reality. That vijigyasasva, that brahmeti. From where this all has come? What is the basis of all this creation? All this variety we see. What is its basis? There must be something from which it comes. And comes, it doesn't go somewhere else. It stays in that. Because Brahman is infinite. There is nothing else other than Brahman. There is nothing place that you can go. It is beyond time, space and causation. So Brahman is described in this way. Brahman, according to Vedanta, is the ultimate reality. When everything is destroyed, what remains is Brahman. When there is Mahapralaya, what remains is Brahman. What is present now is Brahman. Where we come from is Brahman. Where we merge in is Brahman. Brahman is the ultimate reality. Brahman is non-dual. In ultimate sense, there is no two of Brahman. It is only one without a second. It is pure consciousness, awareness. It is pure awareness. Not the awareness that is mixed with our mind or thought, not that. It is pure awareness. Very even difficult to conceive of something called pure awareness that makes our being, living being aware. This is the basis, Brahman is the basis. It is indivisible. We cannot make Brahman into two. It's undivided, indivisible. It is incorporeal. There is no form of this. It is informal. It is infinite and all-pervading. All-pervading. Brahman is, there is nowhere there is no Brahman. It is all-pervading. Example given is like sky. Everywhere it is present. It is present inside our body, between the atoms there is space, outside is this space. Brahman is of the nature of existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. It is the ground of existence. Whatever exists, that is because of Brahman. And it is the basis of all awareness. And it is the source of all bliss. Bliss and love go together. The bliss, love manifests as bliss. It is the reality of all realities, the soul of all souls, one without the second, the constant witness of the changing phenomena of the universe. When we say witness, it has one quality. Witness is ever present. Other thing may change, but if witness is not there, you cannot know. When you say witness, that means it is eternal witness of ever-changing phenomena of this universe. What knows that is changing? Who sees that which is not changing? So that is the Brahman, it is unchanging thing. From absolute point of view, Brahman alone exists. Because everything other is mithya, changing reality. Brahman is unchanging reality. What exists is Brahman. What we see is that unchanging reality in the changing form. That's why Kathopanishad said, Nityo Anityana. Everything seems to be changing. But can we perceive something unchanging in this changing universe? If we could get that unchanging reality, that is Brahman. That thing that doesn't change. And that thing is there. This is one in variety. Eko Bahuna. One who can perceive that, he has perceived the Brahman. Brahman has two aspects. One is transcendent and another is immanent. In its transcendent aspect, it is devoid of name and form. Ultimate, beyond. No name, no form, just existing reality. It is ever-present reality and it is the source of everything. But it is transcendent, beyond our mind and thought. And again, the Vedanta will say Brahman is also immanent. Immanent means present in this creation, very much part of this creation. In its transcendent aspect, it is devoid of name and form and attributes and qualities. But in its immanent aspect, it is endowed with them. We have qualities, attributes, and names and forms. The same Brahman, when it is immanent, it has name and form and qualities. We can find that. That is the immanent aspect of that Brahman. Transcendent Brahman is designated as it, and immanent Brahman as he. Though it is through its inscrutable power called Maya, the transcendent Brahman appears to be conditional by time and space and to manifest itself as personal God. That very Brahman is the God that we perceive and think of when we see through the power of Maya. Brahman is attributeless. How can we think of something without any quality or form or shape or name? That cannot be seen. But what is the idea of God that we have? Whether we see formless aspect of God, someone there who takes our care, who is kind, who is merciful, or some personalized form of God. Shiva sitting with all jata and all that. This all various thoughts of our mind reading that supreme Brahman which is attributeless. Our mind wants to read that Brahman with these things. When we see through the lens of our mind, that attributeless Brahman seems as personal God, whether with form or without form. It is personal God. Even without form, it is then also it is personal God. Because when we think of God as some power that is merciful, kind, caring, which listens to our prayers, which grants our prayers, so that becomes personal God, and it becomes through the Brahman seen through the lens of our mind. It is, as personal God, it is the creator, preserver and destroyer of the whole universe. Because Brahman itself is indestructible, unchangeable. The Upanishad describe him as the supreme person. How it is described in the Upanishad itself? There are so many varieties of thought in the Upanishad. It is said, his hands and feet everywhere. You see, when you make it immanent and start seeing and perceiving, try to understand Brahman, his hands and feet are everywhere. Means anything that you see is his feet. All feet that you see are his feet. Try to see everyone as the Brahman, manifested Brahman. His eyes, heads and faces are everywhere. So he sees everything that happens. His ears are everywhere. He listens to everything. He listens to every whisper. He listens to every thought that is in our mind because he is present everywhere. That's how the Brahman is described. He exists encompassing all. So there is nothing, there is no presence of Brahman is there. Sarvata panipadantat sarvato shishiro mukham sarvata shrutimal loke sarvam avritya tishtati. Sarvam is the thing. He encompasses, he covers, he is present everywhere and everything. Every hues, Ado, Radiyan, Mahato, Mahiyan. That is the one concept in Kathopanishad it is said. It is smaller than the smallest, subtler than the subtlest. That is the Brahman. Very subtle. And also hues, Mahato, Mahiyan. Hues than the vast. And you cannot imagine, whatever you can imagine, the vastness, it is beyond that. It is so huge. And it is one without a second. It is the one thing that appears as smallest, subtlest, and that appears as huge, infinite. It is the same being. That is the concept of Brahman. And in the Upanishad it is said, the heavens are his head, the sun and moon are his eyes. How trying to make the feeling of Brahman to us. The heavens, the concept of heaven somewhere beyond the sky, that is his head. That's how it is being described so that we can have a grasp of Brahman, that whatever exists, that is Brahman. And his sun and moon that we see bright as if they are the eyes of Brahman. The quarters are his ears. The four quarters are his ears. The revealed Vedas, his speech, this is how it is said. He speaks through the Vedas. The words of Vedas are the speech that he has spoken. The wind is his breath. The universe is heart. From his feet is produced the earth. He is indeed the inner self of all beings. After being said that Brahman is so vast, and as if the sun and the moon are his eyes, and the air his breath, and waters his air, after that the last line says, and he is the innermost soul of all beings. That immanent, that being is our inner controller, is the essence of what we are, he is the self of our soul. That is the concept of Brahman that Vedanta wants to preach. That reality that encompasses everything, that very reality I am. What is outside me as the reality Brahman, that Brahman, very Brahman is in me. In fact, that is me, that is I. Ultimately, they want to say that way. In the Ishopanishad, it is said, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Very first verse starts with, what you see all around, Isha Vasyam. It is all covered by Isha, the ruler, the controller. That you should always remember. It is Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat. In this moving, changing world, whatever is moving, whatever is changing, even that is covered with Brahman. That Isha, that controller, that ruler, Isha means ruler. That controls everything. And Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitha Ma Vidha Kasya Svidhanam. Now, you have greed to earn more, you want others' property. Who is other? There is no other, it doesn't belong to anyone. Every wealth, everything belongs to that Isha. So renounce that sense of owning, that idea of it is mine. Tena Tyaktena. Renounce that idea, it is mine and it is yours. Think everything is yours. Try to think yourself being present in all and everyone present in you. That itself, this knowledge itself is renunciation. You don't have to go to forest. The knowledge that everything, all are me and I am all. This very knowledge becomes renunciation, and then only you can Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitha. Enjoy. That is the real joy, when we can feel that I belong to all. Anyone's success is my success. Anyone's pain is my pain. Then you go and go there. That's why Swami Kalyanananda says, when he finds a thief being punished, he feels that I should take him out from that. And he does with his love. You need a lot of love and character and strength of character to transform the heart of a person. It is not easy. Unless we are pure and strong in character and have a lot of purity and spiritual power, we cannot change other person. In our case, if we go and try to do that, that person goes on stealing. It is Kalyananandaji's spiritual power that he got from Swami Vivekananda, was the direct disciple of Swami Vivekananda, that when he says, leave that man, come to me, that person gives up stealing, comes to him. Like that it happens. So the more purity we find in our heart, the more we feel ourselves one with all, then that power comes, strength comes, that love comes, and slowly Brahman starts revealing as present in everyone. Then we will find that Brahman, that is in me, the power, that my soul, that myself, I am present in all. It all comes with the thought of oneness, purity of thought. There are 4 Mahavakyas in Vedanta about Brahman. What is this Brahman? It is such a, what is the reality? What happens? What ever lasts? Everything seems to change. That was the inquisition of the person, human mind and intellect. Does anything remain after the death? After the collapse of the universe? Is there permanent thing something, or everything is just changing, dying? So after that, the Vedanta, whole of the Vedas, they said Brahman in 4 sentences, small sentences are called Mahavakyas. Great sentences they are called, but they are not long sentences. They are only 2-word sentences. One that says, what is Brahman? Prajnanam Brahman. Prajnanam Brahma. It says, Brahma is awareness. It is knowledge. The true knowledge, pure consciousness, that is Prajna. That is Brahman. Pure consciousness, when it is there, our consciousness is colored and stained by our mind, which is not perfect, which is not pure. When our mind becomes pure, then we start seeing Brahman. Then we start seeing Brahman in everyone. That reality we start perceiving. And we start perceiving reality within us. Then we understand that pure awareness is Brahman. The main purpose of our spiritual life is how to make ourselves pure. That is the purpose of our life. Then we can see pure awareness coming. Our mind will think the pure thought. We'll be able to see the right thing. And everywhere that beloved, whom we call God or Brahman, Brahman is very beloved thing because it is our own soul. What human being loves? What we love? Maximum we love ourselves. That is very intrinsic. And when we see that our own self present in other, then we can love that person maximum. Nava are pati kamaya pati priya bhavati. Nava are pati kamaya pati priya bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya pati priya bhavati. Upanishad said that. Wife thinks, oh, I love that husband. Wife doesn't love husband for husband's sake. Wife loves husband for her own sake. The more wife sees herself in her husband, the more will be her love for the husband. Husband's joy will be her own joy. Husband's suffering will be her own suffering. That happens with our children. It's very much experience. Why it happens? Because we perceive ourselves in our children. That's why children in Sanskrit call Atmaja or Atmaja. Yourself born. You yourself are born in your child. That is the connection of yourself and the children. And that the more we connect ourselves, that's why Holy Mother could see everyone as her child. That is perceiving Brahman. And when we see everyone as our children, Holy Mother says, there can be nothing but love. And that is the connecting, that is what the perceiving Brahman. Prajnanam Brahman. Then say, Prajnanam Brahman, okay. Then another said, I am Atma Brahma. Prajna, awareness is Brahman. Then this I am Atma, this Atma, where you are, what you really you are. You are not the body, ever-changing body, mind always changes. You are not the mind, you perceive the mind. Who perceives mind, who perceives body, who perceives senses? Who is the knower, who is the perceiver? That is Brahman. So, this Atma is the one who perceives everything that I do. Whatever is perceived, is unreal. That is not me, that is not I. Who perceives is I. So that perceiving being is Brahman. That's why second, another great sentence is, I am Atma Brahman. This Atman is Brahman. Your very soul is Brahman. That the thing that vast, infinite, eternal, never changing, that is your own Atma, your own self. Second great sentence. Then after saying about the Brahman, in one of the another Vedas said, Tattvamasi, that infinite, eternal, without form, never changing. That Brahman, Tvamasi, you are that. Try to understand yourself as immortal, enlightened. Tattvamasi, that's another great sense. You see, Tattvamasi, three words. Tattvamasi. Then finally comes, when Brahman is realized, then the person says, Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman. I am immortal. I am free from disease, death, old age, nothing changed, nothing is there. No fear, no suffering. I am that. I am not that which is pursued by me. This body and mind and senses and other things are just a covering of me. That I falsely, by mistake, I think myself that I am that I am. I am in fact that spirit, that self, that Atma, Aham Brahmasmi. When I am that infinite Brahman, then where is the fear? All fear is gone. Fear of death, fear of disease, fear of old age, fear of insult, everything. Who will insult whom? Who will praise whom? Swami Vivekananda says in one of his Song of the Sannyasi, one stanza, no praise or blame can be, where praiser praised and blamer blamed are one. This perceiving to you and me is mistake. And it comes out of impurity. When we become pure enough, we see all at one. And we are not bothered by someone blaming me. Who blamed whom? That person is also me. That is the perception of when we can perceive the Brahman, then we can feel that way, not before that. Then Aham Brahmasmi. After that, when I am Brahman, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahman. I am Brahman. And another place, these four other four Vakyas, Prajnanam Brahma, Ayamatma Brahma, Tattvamasi and Aham Brahmasmi. These four are said to be the Mahavakyas of the Vedas, great sentences of the Vedas. In it is contained the whole gist of the Vedas. And another very important gist is the saying there, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahman. It is also as important as this, but it is not considered as one of the Mahavakyas because they all four are in the four Vedas. This says, whatever you perceive, Sarvam Khalu Idam, whatever you see in the universe, Sarvam, everything is certainly Brahman. Khalu, surely it is Brahman. So there is nothing exists that God. Swami Vivekananda, that's why he says, I perceive God, which ignorant call human being. Which we see human beings is none other than God. The whole universe, the man of knowledge, we see the whole universe, everything in universe as manifested God. Nothing is, for them is avoidable, for they can love everyone. Shankaracharya said, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman is the reality. And Jagat, as we perceive, is Mithya, he said. In the sense, it is not that it doesn't exist, but it is changeable reality. And Brahman is unchangeable reality. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. That is the thing. And then he said, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. But Jiva, the real self, is Brahman itself. That is Satya, that is unchangeable, that ever exists, that is immortal, that is free from all changes, free from suffering. So the more we try to think ourselves as Brahman, the more we will be more fearless. So concept of God or Brahman varies from to the state of the mind of the seeker, you see. Sri Ramakrishna says, in the beginning, for the beginner, who is God? God is the creator. And where is He? He is above the clouds. So God is extra cosmic creator for the beginner. And the beginner, spiritual seeker, when he advances or she advances, then he or she perceives God as the inner controller. He might give information, I feel that someone is speaking, someone guiding, inner controller, antaryami. The external God becomes our own being inside, who guides me, who teaches me, who says me, be aware of this thing. So that becomes inner controller, antaryami. But for a realized person, God is everything. Whatever is outside is also God. Transcendent reality also God. What is present is also God. Everything is the sport of God. That's how it varies. Sri Ramakrishna could perceive that aspect of Brahman as all-pervading reality. He was worshipping Mother Kali. Statue was there, beautiful statue of Mother, and he was worshipping with flowers and all that. Suddenly it flashed to him that Mother is full of consciousness, living. And then he sees to the flowers and the puja articles, puja vessels, all were pure consciousness. And he saw to the door seal, all consciousness. Everything is God. Everything is that Brahman. That Sri Ramakrishna had that awareness. And when Swami Vivekananda came as the Narendra English student coming of 20-21 years, 16-17 years of age, he came and Sri Ramakrishna said, the reality, the God is everything. And in fact, I could see that the puja vessels were God, and the puja articles were God, the door seal was God, and the door was God, and the image was God. I could see the same God present not only in the image, in everything around me. And he could see that God in himself sometimes. Instead of offering flowers to the Divine Mother, he would offer to himself. And people thought, oh, he's mad. But he could see God everywhere. So when he said, Swami Vivekananda was following different paths, Brahman Samad, he says, how can that be? God is the extra cosmic creator, he is all kind and he sees. How can God be everywhere? He just made a laugh at that. And he was talking with Hadra. And he said, oh, Sri Ramakrishna said, even the door is God, even the floor is God, and even the statue is God. How can that be? God has created this universe, which is not God. That was the concept of Brahma Sama. God, out of compassion, has created this universe, and here we live, and God is somewhat different, and we are different. And Sri Ramakrishna once touched Swami Vivekananda. And everything started whirling around and going to naught. The whole room where he was, and everything that was there, it was all vanishing from his side. And he said to Sri Ramakrishna, what are you doing? Just everything is vanishing from me. He was going to have to advocate the experience of non-dual Brahman. I have my parents at my home. He thought he will be annihilated, he will die. He was afraid. Sri Ramakrishna then touched him again and said, oh, not now, not yet. Because Sri Ramakrishna knew Swami Vivekananda was a great Adhar. He was a great person who will have this experience. It was a little early. Later on, during Sri Ramakrishna time itself, Swami Vivekananda has that experience of the Brahman. So he does and he goes. But that thought that has entered to him, Swami Vivekananda, he goes home and that experience of oneness of everything that lingers on. And when one day he was coming, suddenly it flashed to him, oh, there is no difference between me and the things I see. It is all same being appearing and different. And he started walking on the road and find the cart going, that horse carriages were going, he was not coming out because he felt that horse carriage and his body is the same thing. It is one. Then he comes and he saw the railing on a pond and he started hitting that. Oh, is there a difference between the iron railing and the pond? He had there. And he passed through a haystack and hay stuck to him and he said everything is same. There is no difference between this body and the whole universe. I am one with the universe. With this thought he came to Sri Ramakrishna Darshaneshwar, and he described that how that experience of being one with the whole universe that had caught him. And he lived with that idea. When he says, sisters and brothers of America, why do you think people all arose? This is not only the sisters and brothers, this is the feeling of the Atman with everyone. That was the person came and spoke, that we all are one. And as one person, the whole congregation of 7,000 people, they rose to clap and clap for 2 minutes. Full 2 minutes they didn't stop clapping. So that was the feeling, one realizes Brahman. That happens. You just catch everyone into that oneness. And people don't understand why I feel so much joy in the words of this person. There was no joy in the words. There was the joy in the perception of that person, of the Brahman in all. Brahman outside and Brahman inside. That was Swami Vivekananda's thing. Once Swami Vivekananda had come to Villumat, and he was taking a class of brahmacharis, and his Sarachandra Chakravarti was also there. And people said, students said, it's difficult to perceive Brahman that is all pervading, same, individual, one without a second. Swami Vivekananda said, how it is difficult? Brahman is here and now. Just see, Brahman, it is here. He spoke these words, and he spoke out of realization. That realization was so powerful that even people that were sitting around the brahmachari, this disciple Sarachandra Chakravarti, everyone felt, yes, it is all Brahman manifested as this form. We all are same, one without a second. There is no difference between me and him. Everything became stand still. Swami Premananda ji was going to the shrine to worship with the plate, flowers and puja articles. He also heard this. He was a little far away. He also stood, stand still. Everything was frozen as it were. Everything had the feeling of that we are in Brahman and we are Brahman. That the feeling that Swami Vivekananda could create out of his realization of Brahman. That's how the Brahma-jnani becomes so powerful. He could instill, not only he realized in oneness, if the knower of Brahman is of that power, like the Acharya, then he can instill that feeling into others. Swami Vivekananda used to come to and talk, and he felt that he is so powerful that he said, when I speak, I find the minds of people are being elevated to another scale. All those who were seated there. And he was aware of that power in him, and that power is the power of realization of Brahman. Oneness, feeling of oneness. When you feel that oneness in all hatred ceases, all suffering goes. What exists is only love and bliss and peace. That is the power of Brahman. And that Brahman which is inside is outside also. When Satyakama went to tend the cows, as the Guru said, go and make this 400 cows into 1,000. And when they are 1,000, come back. The Satyakama was tending on aware of this, taking care of every cattle. And suddenly, one day after a few years, the bull said, Satyakama, we are 1,000, let's go back to your Guru's place. Satyakama said, who is speaking? There was no human being here. He said, bull was there, he was speaking. And Satyakama, I tell you something about the Brahman. And he starts telling, you see, this waters are Brahman, the sky is Brahman, earth is Brahman. Like that he started saying, this part I tell about the Brahman, next day fire will say something about Brahman. And next day he goes, starts returning, and fire, from the fire he was doing the worship of evening, and in the evening the fire says about the Brahman. The stars are Brahman, the lightning is Brahman, sun is Brahman. Like that, the knowledge of Brahman was being given. Everything that you see as variety and different, all are same, one being that appears as many. Everything as that one existence, that one Brahman. And after that he comes, next day one fowl, Mudga is the bird, Mudgu bird says, and next day Swan says. And all they talk about a little of Brahman. Whatever you perceive, everything, your mind is Brahman, your prana is Brahman, like that. And you find the Brahman that was outside, and the star and moon and lightning, that Brahman is in me and the mind and the prana. And what is outside, that is inside. It's all one eka rasa. It's all one homogeneous bliss, awareness, knowledge. That is the concept of Brahman. Once, how to perceive this Brahman we are unaware. Though it is we, but we are unaware. Once 10 persons were crossing the river, and they counted before crossing, we are 10. They crossed the river, and they knew they were 10 had come. They crossed the river, and then they thought if someone is swept away by the river's current. They started counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 9. One is not there. So they were very sad. Another starts counting. He also counts 9. Everyone counts only 9. Then they sat on the ground and started crying. One person came and said, "Why are you crying, my dear friends?" He said, "Oh, you see, we 10 were there, we crossed this river, and there was current in the river, one of us is lost. How many were you? We were 10, and how many are you now? We are only 9. He said, "Let me count." He counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. We are already 10. So they were 10. But what happened during counting? Everyone counted all others, not himself. You are the 10th. The person counted and said 9. Where is the 10th? You are the 10th. You are that Brahman. That Brahman is in you. That's called dasamas tamasina. That we forget. We see everything outside and we don't consider that God that is present in us. This way, the forgetful Brahman that we are forgetful is found out. The Brahman outside and inside is explained in like a jar, a pitcher who's full of water is submerged in water. Now jar thinks I am me. It is full of water. And when it is submerged, what is inside the jar? It's water. What is outside the jar? It is water. Same water. There is no difference. So that is our condition. We are full of that Brahman and we are in that Brahman. Whatever we perceive is that Brahman, but we are unaware. And if this pitcher, the jar's wall, the material that makes jar is the ignorance. And we are that Brahman, that water we are a jar. We think ourselves as the jar, that is the problem. It is because of the ignorance. We are that water which is present everywhere. If we break the jar, we are that water. This body and mind is our jar. And we are filled with Brahman. And we are in the Brahman. That is the bliss. Ananda, that's another place it says, everything has come from the bliss. And exists in the bliss and merges in the bliss. There is nothing there. What we see, oh, we are born and we will die. Where is death? It's all nothing there. It's just a play. We are always same. There is no birth, there is no death. We are always ever-present being. That is the teaching of Vedanta. So this, to understand the Atman, Vedanta will say, you have to first understand, hear about the Atman. Shrotabhyo, mantabhyo, nididhyasitabhya. Hear about the Atman. What is the reality, Atman or Brahman? The reality is myself. Try to understand, I am that real being. Shrotabhyo. You have to hear from the teacher, from studying the scriptures. Then mantabhyo. Try to think who you really are. Then after thinking mantabhya mananam, then nididhyasitabhya. Then try to catch hold of that reality and finally it will flash to you. Swami Vivekananda, with his quote about the Brahman, I will try to close today. Swami Vivekananda said about Brahman, Brahman is avang manasa gocharam. It is beyond our mind, speech and thought. Meaning that which is incapable of being grasped by word and mind. Whatever lies beyond the region of space, time and causation cannot be conceived by the human mind. And the function of logic and inquiry lies only within the region of space, time and causation. While that is so, it is vain attempt to question about what lies beyond the possibilities of human conception. Brahman is one, but is at the same time appearing to us as many. On the relative plane, name and form are the root of this relativity. For instance, what do you find when you abstract name and form from a jar? Only earth, which is its essence. Similarly, through delusion you are thinking of and seeing a jar, a cloth, a monastery, and so on. The phenomenal world depends on this nascence or ignorance which obstructs knowledge and which has no real existence. One sees variety such as wife, children, body, mind, only in the world created by innocence or ignorance by means of name and form. As soon as this nascence is removed, the realization of Brahman, which eternally exists, is the result. Brahman is the same in two forms, changeable and unchangeable, expressed and unexpressed. Know that the knower and the known are one. The Trinity, the knower, the known and knowing, is manifesting as this universe. That God the yogi sees in meditation, he sees through the power of his own self. The Brahman, the God of the Vedanta, has nothing outside of himself, nothing at all. All this indeed is he. He is in the universe, he is the universe himself. Thou art the man, thou art the woman, thou art the young man walking in the pride of youth, thou art the old man tottering in his state. That's what is said in the Vedanta. He is here. Him we see and feel. In him we live and move and have our being. This life in the five senses, life in the material world is not all. It is only a small portion and merely superficial. Behind and beyond is the infinite, in which there is no more evil. Some people call it God, some Allah, some Jehovah, Job, and so on. The Vedantin calls it Brahman.